Oh hi, I didn't see you there. I'm Philbert D, and I had a beer before I came here. This is gonna be fun. This is Phil on Films. This week, we're reviewing It Chapter 2 and Sanggano, Sanggago't, Sanggwapo. Jano Gibbs plays Johnny, who at the start of the movie receives word of the death of his estranged father. He inherits his family's hacienda, and he goes there with his two friends Andy and Dondon, played by Andrew E. and Dennis Padilla. Johnny learns that the hacienda is in trouble, and afraid to take on any responsibility, he switches roles with Andy. The three get into all sorts of hijinks as they slowly learn the truth about what's going on at the hacienda. So, this is a movie that dares to ask the question. Don't you miss those films from the late 80s, early 90s that are about these three comedic male leads that get into a bunch of antics that involve sexy women in various states of undress and inexplicable, badly choreographed fight sequences? Props for asking the question, I guess, but my answer is a pretty solid no. Not at all. This movie is a pretty good illustration of why we've moved on from that kind of thing. Now, this wouldn't have been charming if the leads were young. The fact that they're all a bunch of older men just makes things worse. If you go into this movie, and I don't know why you would, prepare yourselves for a full 130 minutes of old men leering at women who could probably be their daughters. And you heard that right. It's 130 minutes, much of that time spent stroking the egos of the three male leads, who are all assured that they can still beat up bad guys and, I don't know, seduce younger women. This is all delivered in a subpar technical package that often struggles to keep all the actors in frame. And even when they are in frame, they're often out of focus. All in all, this is a really toxic piece of nostalgia that we probably could have done without. I'm sure if Andrew E., Dennis Padilla, and especially Jano Gibbs really tried, they could become more relevant parts of current film culture. But this isn't going to happen by sticking to all the dumb stuff that we've gotten past. 0 stars.
Yes, may I help you?
I used to live here.
Won't you come in? It's the least I can do. Is it like you remember?
Cleaner.
Well, you feel free to look around while I get the water boiling.
Your hair is winter fire. January embers. My heart burns there too.
27 years following the events of the first movie, the supernatural entity that takes the form of Pennywise the Clown returns to wreak havoc on the town of Derry, Maine. Mike, now played by Isaiah Mustafa, is the only one who stayed in town, and he calls the losers back to Derry so that they can fulfill the oath they made as kids to kill the clown. But the losers seem to have forgotten much in the last 27 years, and they must work through their memories in order to survive. If you've read the over 1,000-page novel, then you know that for all of its merits, the story gets a little ungainly. The movie cuts out entire sections of the story, but it retains the basic bones of the story, which splits up the losers and has them taking on their own personal trials, which involve lengthy flashbacks and individual encounters with the supernatural threat. The movie takes on this repetitive structure that has this sense of danger waning as the characters continue to survive encounters with Pennywise through the course of this nearly 3-hour runtime. The movie mostly gives up the larger subtext of the story in favor of these personal character journeys told through a succession of scare scenes. It's a valid approach, though it does dull some of the larger impact of the story as the looming threat of Derry just fades over the course of the movie. Now granted, these scare scenes are wonderfully realized. Andy Muschietti is a very talented visual stylist, and he pulls from a really deep bag of horror tricks. Also, this cast is just terrific. Even just the parity between the younger actors and their older counterparts is pretty genius on its own. Chastain and McAvoy are great, of course, but it's really Bill Hader that runs away with this movie. He steals practically every scene that he's in. So, all in all, this is a pretty entertaining, well-made film with lots of strong individual scenes, but it's really tough to wrestle with the larger ideas of the novel in cinema. It just goes on for far too long without really addressing the meat of the story. And it's almost not fair to the movie because it is really difficult to imagine some of these ideas transitioning successfully into cinema. 3 stars. Q&A with extra good sound. Riggs Antua on YouTube asks, are we Noipies really ready to get critical with our media consumption? Sure, why not? Who cares? Yeah. He brings up this comment because he says like, oh, I guess unfavorable reviews tend to get less reviews. That's not true. Some of my most popular reviews are unfavorable reviews. Also, I mean, honestly, like, I'm not even doing anything. Like, I guess I get deeper than most people, but like internet culture is based on unfavorable reviews. Like people saying, that sucks, whatever. Or, you know, they don't really get into it. They don't get deep into the critical nonsense that I get into. But, you know, people are ready to be negative about the stuff that they don't like. And I welcome it. I also welcome it when people are ready to really stand behind the works that they love. The beauty of the internet is that we are all free to say what we feel. Hooray! Shua on Twitter asks, thoughts on a 2 times a year MMFF? I hate it! Don't do it, please. If the MMFF was actually a good thing, if I believed in the Metro Manila Film Fest as a festival, if I thought that it would actually be a platform for good Filipino cinema, then yeah, let's do it all year. Let's have a 12 times a year MMFF. But until you really address the fundamental problems with the festival, until you can actually guarantee that, like, I don't know, smaller producers will be able to make back their investments, until you're able to make sure that films are given a proper platform, until you make sure that the cinema owners aren't just gonna throw out the films that they don't like, then we shouldn't even have one MMFF a year. Also, we have the MMFF, we already have the PPP. Well, how can I say? It's too much stuff, and it's all just for films that should have a chance to do okay commercially on their own without the benefit of a special festival that blocks out cinemas. So, no bongo, no. Miguel Ventura asks a technical question. Why do the soundtracks and sound effects of older films, i.e. 60s and 70s, sound more, quote, synthetic and warped? Is it a limitation of the film mediums at the time? Is there something being lost when those films are replayed on televisions? Yes to that second question. There's probably something lost. Sound recording in the Philippines has never been super great. We rush it. Like, if you really want your sound to be good, you have to take your time with Foley and with recording ADR. But because we have small budgets and not a lot of time, we tend to rush that stuff. And our artistas have gotten really, really good at ADR at this point. But it's really not fair to make them have to rush through redubbing all their dialogue. I think most people are under the strange impression that a lot of films do live sound, and no, not a lot of films do live sound, because it's a difficult process, especially in Metro Manila, where you cannot get 2 blocks without hearing a jeepney pass by. If they sound more synthetic, it's because sound recording equipment wasn't as good in the 60s and 70s. But yes, there is also something being lost on television, and if we could get those original audio tracks, they would probably sound a little bit better. Lester Poggy asks, your favorite cinemas here in Metro Manila and why? For me, watching in cinemas has largely become a question of practicality, like who has the best schedules if I have to see a film. I like Gateway, but that's because I'm from Cubao. But they do have really good sound all of the time, and their projection is just a little bit brighter than most cinemas. But generally, all cinemas in Metro Manila are bad. I was more forgiving of them until I went to Evia in Bacoor and saw what a good cinema is like. Holy crap, guys. We need to demand more from our cinemas, because the cinemas in Evia are really, really, really good. That Laser IMAX cinema is the best cinema I've been to anywhere in the world. I've been to cinemas all over the world, in film festivals and stuff, and I don't think I've been in as good a cinema as the Laser IMAX cinema in Evia. So there, our cinema suck. thanks for joining us. There isn't gonna be an episode next week because the PPP is starting. The PPP starts on a Friday and we shoot these on Wednesdays. So I don't know how many PPP films I'm catching, but you're gonna hear about them the week after. I hope you're not looking for me to guide you through this morass of Satan films. Anyway, as always, like and subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question, do all the internet things. And until next time, goodbye internet, register to vote.